First up, take a look at the new Huawei MateBook D. This is the largest of the bunch introduced earlier today. It's a 15.6-inch notebook with a full HD resolution. Unfortunately, despite the size of this display, you won't get any higher resolution than that. On top of that, this is not a touchscreen. Very frustrating. When I played about with this before I came on camera, I was tapping away at the screen and nothing was happening. If you're used to using Windows 10 with a touchscreen, this is going to frustrate you greatly and you should probably look elsewhere. Nonetheless, this is a very nice device. I remember owning 15-inch laptops or larger back in the day that you simply couldn't pick up without two hands. This is actually quite light. That's insane. That's really quite nice. Now, it feels quite nice as well. I wouldn't say it's the most premium laptop that I've ever picked up, but the bodywork is very sleek, very attractive, and well, there's a bit of a MacBook Pro thing about it, to be honest. Not quite as good, but it's yeah, pretty attractive, and certainly attractive for the price range. This will start at €799 for the entry-level config, which is an Intel Core i5, the latest 7th generation Kaby Lake, with 8GB of RAM, 1TB hard drive, and an NVIDIA 940MX discrete GPU. That goes up all the way to €999 for the i7 with 8GB RAM, 128GB SSD, and 1TB hard drive, again with the 940MX. Alongside it, you might have noticed this little chap. This is the new Huawei Bluetooth mouse, which was introduced earlier today alongside the other devices. Well, despite the fact that it might look like metallic bodywork, it's not. It's, frankly, rather cheap plastic. But that said, it does have a nice clicky scroll action on the wheel there, left and right buttons, and probably some sort of precision action going on with the tracker underneath. That said, this is going to be €35 when it goes on sale, and frankly, you could probably get something similarly capable for a lot less money. Go on Amazon, go on B&H or whatever. Your favourite online retail store, you'll probably find something cheaper and more attractive. On top of all of that, by the way, that's sold separately, does not come with this. On top of all of the features available on the MateBook D itself, you'll also find Windows Hello support through a fingerprint sensor, not through an iris or facial recognition jobby that you might find on other devices. Precision trackpad, very attractive island keyboard with chiclet keys. Tested it out earlier and it all works as you might expect. That said, the keys do feel a little bit unpleasant, but for typing, you won't be able to complain. It does the job quite nicely. Now let's have a look at another device. And this is the second of the new devices that Huawei introduced earlier today. This is the MateBook E, and as you can see, it has stylus support. It also has a rather nifty stylus. It feels quite nice, quite chunky in the hand, with several buttons on it. And check this out. I don't know if you can see that on there. You can almost certainly see it on there. Yep, that is a laser pointer on the other end of the stylus. How cool is that? Okay, well, I think it's cool, and I'm easily pleased. Let's move on. This is the spiritual successor to the original MateBook that Huawei introduced at last year's Mobile World Congress. It was their first Windows 10 tablet. Much like that device, this is also a tablet with a detachable keyboard cover, which also has the kickstand that is lacking from the device itself, which you would find on a Surface device. On this device, it's built into the cover, which now Huawei is calling a type cover. Frankly, this does not feel quite as nice as the type covers that you'll find on Microsoft's Surface line. It's a bit more plasticky, I suppose is the word, rather than the nice sort of soft touch finish that you'll get on the Surface type covers. That said, the keyboard spacing is very nice. I had a quick play with it off camera to see how it types. I'm sure many of you will be sick to death of watching me type the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog over and over again, so I'll spare you that on this occasion. The keyboard is quite weighty. It's also quite flexy. It doesn't have the same lift off the surface that you would get on the Surface. It doesn't prop up in the same way. It's completely flat. That said, it is quite adjustable. I don't know if you can see just how rigid that is. It's also got a magnetic clip there. But yes, it is very adjustable, so you can slide it down through a range of configurations, and I'm sure that will come in very handy for drawing and such. Now on the tablet itself, you'll see some stereo speakers at the top, power on the side, a fingerprint sensor, that's your key to Windows Hello support, a USB Type-C port, which is also used for charging, connector pins at the bottom, and a 3.5mm headphone jack on that side. Under the hood you'll get the latest Intel Core i5 processors, going up to the i5 series. That's the top of the range model, which is €1,299. With 8GB of RAM and 256GB SSD. The entry-level model has an Intel Core M3 with 4GB RAM and 128GB SSD. That's €999. The display is 2K, just like the Surface range, and as you can see, it's a touchscreen, as you would expect. In fact, I say that, but you don't get that on the D series, the new MateBook D. But it is a 2K touchscreen with 2160 by 1440 resolution, similar to the Surface Pro 3 and Surface Pro 4. It's an 84% screen-to-body ratio. Can't really expect much more than that, given that you're going to have to grip this at some point when you're holding it as a tablet. You'll also get 128GB, 256 and 512GB SSD options available, and 4GB or 8GB are your only options for RAM. Huawei says that you'll get up to 9 hours of battery life out of this, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out in the real world. One last thing to draw your attention to. I'll just move this up to the camera. Now, let's see. I don't know how well this is focusing, but yeah, down here you may not be able to see, it says 14393.1066. I suspect the autofocus on this camera is badly letting me down, but take my word for it. Now that's an anniversary update build. I thought it was a bit odd. I thought maybe it was just for the demo models that Huawei has on the stand here. So I asked Huawei reps, and they confirmed that this is the build that will be shipping on the devices when they are available. It won't be shipping with the Creators Update on board, which is a bit unusual, but you will get a free upgrade to the Creators Update anyway, so it's not something to worry about. Your only concern there is if you're on a metered connection, in which case you're probably going to want to go around a friend's house and leech off them, or maybe go down to your local railway station, public library, or unsuspecting neighbour whose Wi-Fi you can take to get that sizable upgrade when it's time to do so. Not a huge concern, just a bit of a surprise, and I thought it might be something that a few of you may be interested in. It's a very attractive device. Honestly, I think it's perhaps priced a little higher than I would have expected, but let's see what else Huawei has to offer today. Let's move on to the next and the last of the 3 devices that it unveils. And finally, let me introduce the MateBook X. This is, in my opinion, the sexiest of the devices that Huawei introduced today. This particular model, with its pink or rose gold bodywork, may not be to your taste, but there are other colour options available. Frankly, I think this device looks wonderful, and in no small part, that's down to its fantastic vivid colour, I think was the phrase that Huawei used earlier, display, which takes up 88% of the display section of the device. It's a 2K display, that's 2160 by 1440 pixels with Corning Gorilla Glass. Not sure if that's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, but let's assume that it's reasonably robust. That said, you're probably not going to want to drop this. Huawei did make a point of saying that this is a completely flat display with no rubber protection around the outside, as you might find on some other devices. Now, that means it won't be quite as well protected, but it's also very, very attractive. Now down here you'll find a full-width keyboard, somehow crammed into this 12-inch form factor even. Huawei says that this is the world's smallest 13-inch notebook, and I can well believe it. It's incredibly light as well. Incredibly light. And, well, beautifully, beautifully made. very solid, no flex at all, with a fanless design for its Intel Core i7-7500U processor at the top of the range, down to what I think is a Core i5 lower down the range. On the side you'll find a USB-C port there, another one over here, and a dedicated 3.5mm audio jack. Down here, nice big precision trackpad, which I'm sure works wonderfully. It certainly seems to be quite nippy and doesn't seem to be broken, so that's good enough for now. Can't really analyse how good this device is on a show stand. We'll have to wait until we get it out into the real world before we can make that kind of assessment. There is another first that Huawei mentioned about this device. It is the world's first notebook with Dolby Atmos sound support. That's a feature that recently came to the Xbox One and One S. Yes, this is a first on a notebook, and it's the first on a Windows 10 notebook as well, of course. Being a Windows 10 notebook, a modern Windows 10 notebook, it also includes Windows Hello support through this fingerprint sensor, but like the other devices, not through a facial or iris recognition camera up top. That said, it does include the one-touch power on and authorization feature that Huawei mentioned earlier today. I think this device looks absolutely wonderful, can't wait to test it in the real world, and well, in fact the other devices that Huawei introduced today are certainly quite interesting too. That's your first look at the Huawei MateBook D, E and X. Stay tuned for more from Neowin in the days, weeks and months ahead.